So welcome along. If you are new to this channel, my name's James Mulvaney. I'm an entrepreneur working within the audio space. Love creating videos like this. So if you're keen to get more microphone reviews, tips on growing your audience, tips on radio, podcasting, all of that kind of stuff, remember to hit that subscribe button. I am founder of radio.co, podcast.co, matchmaker.fm and Q Podcast. So you're also welcome to go and check those out if you like. However, today we're talking Blue Yeti. Now this microphone, it's been around for a long time. I think it's probably at least 10 years old, maybe sort of 12 years old. I think from what I remember, it was one of the first USB powered microphones or USB powered condenser microphones that I remember seeing. Certainly there are tons of podcasters who will recognize this microphone. They slightly refined the reform factor over the original. However, it's still got that kind of very distinctive look. It's quite often the go-to microphone that podcasters will quite often buy when they first get into podcasting. And there's certainly lots of people who have also been seen using it incorrectly as well. So today I wanted to talk through how to set this up properly and also how to get the best results from it, cover off some of the new features that we've got on this Blue Yeti X, and also give it a test so you can see how it sounds and decide if it's perhaps right for you. Okay, so let's start off with a few basic pros and cons of the Blue Yeti. In terms of the positives, it's quite easy to get started. You can plug it in and pretty much hit record. But on the other side, there are quite a few dials and switches, and also there is some desktop software which is now associated with this. So if you're new to podcasting, you don't really understand audio, there's a bit of a learning curve associated with it. I would say this microphone is good in terms of improving the sound quality, which means that you can use it for podcasting, but also you can use it for things like streaming live or perhaps doing Zoom calls or meetings or recording video content, that kind of thing. But on the flip side, this is a condenser microphone, which is a particularly sensitive type of microphone, which means that it gives the audio a great amount of detail for sure. However, if you're recording in a not perfect space, e.g. you haven't got acoustic treatment on the walls and there's a little bit of an echo, kind of like the room we're in now, or maybe you've got some external sound coming in from the outside, traffic going past or kids playing outside or that kind of thing, condenser microphones do have a habit of picking up those kind of unwanted details, those unwanted noises that you've got going on, whether it be echo or background noise, etc. So depending on your studio setup or depending on your location, if you're in a quiet space and you've not got too much echo, this could be perfect. But if you've got either of those issues, then you might want to consider a dynamic microphone, which there are plenty of, and there's obviously lots of competition in terms of other manufacturers putting out dynamic microphones with similar functionality. For example, the Shure MV7, which I reviewed last year. Again, similar form factor, it's plug and play. You can also download software to enhance or change or tweak the sound characteristics of it, but that's a dynamic microphone, so it will help eliminate a lot of that background noise. So another thing to think about when looking at the Blue Yeti, it's on this stand, which is designed specifically for the microphone, but I would say this is kind of designed to sit and work on its stand. The one thing I like about this mic versus a lot of other USB mics which have got a built-in stand is it's kind of raised up a little. A lot of the USB mics are very low down to the table, and you'll get quite often people sitting up high. To get the best results, you really need to be quite close up on it. You don't really want to be you can record, of course, further away, but especially with condenser mics, you'll get a lot of that background echo the further away you are. So you really want to be, I'd say 6 inches or a hand span away from the microphone to get the best quality results. Because it's on a fixed stand on your table, that can be quite tricky. So normally I would recommend a boom arm. If you're using a mic on a regular basis, particularly if you're recording podcasts or lots of interviews, that kind of thing, I would get a boom arm which you could clip to your desk, or you can mount it on your table, and you can literally use it to position the microphone right in front of you, and obviously it makes pushing out the way when you're not using it really simple. Obviously with this, you're kind of restricted to what you can do with the default stand. I believe you can take it off the stand and mount it on an arm, but I think it's quite a large microphone, so it might not always be easy to mount on a boom arm, compared to something like the Shure MV7, which is specifically designed kind of almost in the form factor to be mounted either on a desk stand or mounted within a boom arm. Okay, so let's have a look at a basic setup for the Blue Yeti X. I wanted to quickly talk through this kind of magic dial on the front, which has got 3 or 4 different modes of operation, and explain how to use it. So by default, you'll see we've kind of got these green lights flashing up and down. This obviously is giving me an indication of the level that we're at. If you want to adjust the gain, which is the volume of your microphone, you can simply twist this dial down or up. So if you feel like, for example, if I turn it right up to the top, and then I see I'm kind of going into the yellow red bits at the end, that's not what you want. You want to avoid going to red. You want it so it's really in green, occasionally touching yellow if you raise your voice, but you don't want to be going to red. So we're going to reduce that down. Again, it depends on your tone of voice, how loud you're speaking, and of course the environment you're recording in as well. If you click this dial and if you press it once, that will mute the microphone. A lot of people have got concerns with privacy these days, which is completely understandable, and you perhaps don't want your microphone constantly being connected to your computer. Well, this gives you peace of mind because it will actually shut off the audio source, so your computer will not be able to hear anything when the microphone is muted. So we'll click it again to unmute. So if I now hold down the button, this is my monitor volume. Now on the old microphone, the old Blue Yeti, we had two different dials. We had one to control the gain and one to control the monitor. Sometimes people get them confused, which would mean they'd be too loud, too quiet, or they'd be blasting out their ears, whatever. So this is all just done through one dial, which is quite good, but it's important that you obviously know the sequence of what to adjust. So when you hold down this button, it obviously switches it into the level of your monitor. And this is basically, if you've got headphones connected, how loud it will come through your headphones. And again, this is personal preference. You could dial this up and down. If I hold down again, this will address the balance of what's coming out of my computer versus the headphones. Now this kind of is sounds a bit strange, especially if you're new to using a device like this. Effectively, USB microphones are almost like a sound card. So they have a USB connection, yes, but it means that they can actually receive audio coming out of your computer and going through your headphones, as well as being able to actually monitor what's going on the microphone. A typical use case of this would be if you're using, say, Zoom to record a podcast, or you're using Zoom to make a call. You actually want to be able to hear what the other person is saying, and the way you'd set this up so you're not getting feedback coming out of your laptop speakers and going back into the microphone is you specify the output source of Zoom to be on the Blue Yeti. So you use this to monitor the call as well as your own voice. So being able to adjust the balance between how much of the audio that you're hearing out of your computer and how much of your voice you're being able to hear, because some people don't like to be able to hear their own voice, they'll only be able to want to hear what's going on, say, on Zoom, and some people like to be able to hear both. It's quite important. So if I click and hold the button again, we'll go back to the default setting. All right, so if I turn the microphone round on the back, you'll see we've got another button here. I wanted to talk you through the different settings. This is what is known as the polar pickup pattern. Technical term, I know, a little bit scary. What this means is basically how the microphone is configured to pick up noise around it. And it will have a big impact on how your recording sounds and really what you're using the microphone for. Now, I'm kind of a believer that actually having a microphone with multiple pickup patterns should kind of be reserved for the experts, and the way this product is positioned in the market is not targeted towards expert recording artists or studio engineers. It's really targeted towards people who want to buy a kind of plug and play USB mic. However, you can control this. So there are 4 different pickup patterns. The one you need to concern yourself with, I would suggest, is cardioid, which is the little heart shape, which basically means you're picking up the field that's directly in front of the microphone and around it. Now, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about people using this microphone in the wrong way. The capsule is actually a circle which is situated in the microphone like this. So a lot of people, when they see a microphone shaped in this way, will assume that you need to speak into the end of the microphone. That's incorrect. You actually need to be speaking into the front of the microphone to get the best results. You'll still be able to hear yourself if you're recording like this. It's not going to sound as good, however, if you're recording like this and projecting your voice into the front of the microphone. So that's how this microphone, the Blue Yeti X, has been designed to use. But here's where it gets confusing. Some other microphones, such as the Shure SM7B or the Shure MV5 I mentioned earlier, they're end address microphones, so you speak into the end of them. So you need to make sure whatever mic you buy and use that you're speaking to it the correct way. It's not always obvious and it's not always the same way. But I've even seen radio interviews in studios where they've had really famous artists or famous pop stars speaking to microphones in completely the wrong way just because the mic looks slightly different. So again, to get the best sound recording, you need to make sure that you're using your microphone correctly. Okay, so a final point to make. Perhaps you think about buying one of these, and as I mentioned, to get the best results, you kind of want to be quite close up on this microphone. And before we do a sound test, I wanted to talk about this. This is what is known as a pop shield or windshield. This is just a piece of foam. You can buy these relatively cheaply off Amazon. Just type in Blue Yeti Pop Shield, something like that. It costs you a few dollars or a few pounds. You put it on the top, and this will effectively stop any plosives hitting the mic capsule, which kind of create that nasty popping sound. Again, this is a common mistake I see people making. It becomes really, really annoying, and it sounds really unprofessional if you can constantly hear them. It doesn't look as nice, agreed, with something like this in front of it, but it is really crucial. So let's dive in and let's do some sound tests. I want to show you what this microphone sounds like, and also I want to show you some of the settings that you can apply on the software to enhance the sound quality too. Okay, so that covers how to set up the Blue Yeti and how to position it correctly in front of you. Now I wanted to introduce you to the desktop software which is included with this microphone. You can use this on either Mac, I've got it installed on our MacBook here, or you can even install it on a Windows computer as well. And what this will allow you to do is perhaps add a boost to your voice. So if you think about when you listen to someone on the radio or you listen to a podcast, you might have noticed that there's like an added punch or clarity to when that person is speaking. This is what is known in the industry as voice processing, and normally to get voice processing you need to go out and spend a load of money on expensive boxes or a fancy mixing console, that kind of thing. The cool thing about this software is it's actually got it built right in, so it can add things like EQ and compression to your voice, which will give you like an added sparkle or added presence to your voice. Here's what I mean. If I enable the Blue voice processing, you'll immediately notice my voice sounds a little bit louder, a little bit punchier, a little bit more kind of pizzazzy than perhaps it did before. And all it's doing now is applying a chain of effects to my voice, such as I say, compression, EQ, etc. The cool thing about the Blue software is it's got a variety of presets already built in, and you can choose which of these presets sounds best for your voice. So depending on whether you're male, female, perhaps you've got a slightly higher or lower voice, things like that will depend on the preset that works best for you. And the best thing to do is basically sit down, record some examples, and decide which, number one, you like the sound of, and the one that you think complements your voice best. So right now, I've got the FM processing enabled. But for example, I can switch this over to bass boost, which was going to give me more presence on the lower end, the bass. I've got two broadcast processing settings here, which again will give you that kind of broadcast sound that you might be used to hearing on the radio, TV. This is really cool because it allows one microphone to sound almost like many different microphones. And as I say, this works in real time. So this will work whether you're recording a podcast, if you're broadcasting live, you're doing a live stream, or even if you're perhaps on a Zoom call and you want to get perhaps you're doing a sales pitch or something like that, and you want your voice to stand out and have that added sparkle that perhaps everyone else on the call doesn't have. Well, this is great to do that. And as I say, the software is included with the microphone. You just download and install it. Really easy to use and set up. And if you know what you're doing, perhaps you've got some experience with audio editing, you can even go in and tweak the parameters. So you can go and create a preset which is specific to you, or perhaps specific to one of your guests, depending on the setup, on the desired sound that you have, really. So that's the Blue Yeti X. Great microphone. I'm intrigued to know, perhaps you already own a Blue Yeti and you're thinking about upgrading to this new version. Let me know in the comments below. Or maybe you own a different microphone and you're thinking about switching. Let me know in the comments. I'm intrigued to know what microphone setup you currently have, and if this setup appeals to you, or if you've got any thoughts of how this sounds, please let me know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching this video. As always, I'd really appreciate a big thumbs up if you found this helpful, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. I'm always creating great content like this. Take it easy. Bye for now. Hey, before you go, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm always posting interesting content like this over on my LinkedIn channel, and it'd be cool to hang out. So go to jamesm.com/connect, click on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. Once we're connected, send me a message, say you came over from this video, and I'll send you some cool things for free. Sound fair? Well, head to jamesm.com/connect and connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll see you over there.